Travel alert, using the stairway, you travel up, taking 10 minutes to arrive, reaching the surface again. Feria helps Eswin unlatch an old trapdoor that leads into the cellar of the Sislan church, and a few minutes later you're standing within the basement of the temple. The cellar here is full of stored objects, some of which are covered in dusty sheets. Paying little heed to it all, Feria leads all of you up another flight of stairs and into the main worship chamber of the church. Waiting here are about a dozen humans in one corner of the temple, along with another dozen or so felein in another. Let's do a reason check on your hero to see what your initial impression of the gathering might be. Needing a 12 or less from Janet, a 8 was rolled. Success, both sides eye each other warily, as if preparing for a brawl. You suspect that they've all come to settle their differences with each other one way or another. Father! A young felein woman's voice suddenly shouts, almost piercing the air. Flavet's daughter Zissa rushes out of the group of felein standing some 30 feet away. While still angry with Flavet and what he was about to do to Feria, you can't help but smile as Flavet takes a few steps forward and allows Zissa to run straight into his arms, the two very happy to see one another again. The embrace is long and sweet, and you soak in the tender moment. You kept your word. Zissa cries. Keeping your word, and demonstrating that to all the felein here, you've done more to restore their trust in one selfless act than months of intense negotiations. Let's reward that with some bonus experience. Each hero earns 625 experience points. Lord Rustinian then steps from the small crowd of felein as well and approaches, his look most serious. As he nears you, an older human steps away from their own group, headed in your direction as well. I also kept my promise, restoring him and some of his staff, Rustinian whispers in your ear. But best not let him know about the leash and being treated as a pet cat and such, some things are best left unsaid. Recalling Lord Mason asleep on the palace room floor earlier, you can't help but chuckle as the older man walks slowly toward you, his wrinkled brow betraying his angry mood. You there? What's going on? This Rustinian felein says you have all the answers. Needing a 12 or less from Janet, a 4 was rolled. Success, before attempting to explain everything that's happened the past few weeks, you formally introduce yourself and your party to Lord Mason, doing an adequate job of it. Mason, in turn, bows a bit in his haste to know more. Father, this adventuring party is only trying to help, the cleric Feria interjects, taking command of the conversation. Without them, I wouldn't be standing here alive now. And with that, Feria spends the next 10 minutes explaining to Lord Mason everything that's happened, how the felein reached sentience decades ago but were kept hidden away within their underground sanctuary, how they were poisoned and returned to the Nacean populace as their pets, or even slaves, how Flavet used the Sislan fear antidote to, in turn, poison the human populace and let the felein run amok, and how it's time now for both sides to move past their anger and find a way to live together in peace. Lord Mason listens intensely, trusting his own daughter completely. He then turns to you, wanting to know your own opinion regarding recent events. Choose an option. Diplomacy, we're not here to take sides. Empathy, both sides made grave mistakes. Optimism, this could work out for the best. Despite all the chaos and hardship, this could all work out for the best, Redfern suggests with a smile, speaking for the party. With just a little understanding and forgiveness on both sides, you could find enough common ground to move forward in peace. But they're just felein, Lord Mason responds, still tone deaf to everything he's heard here. Surely you're not suggesting that they're some sort of equal to us? That's exactly what we're suggesting. Ariana scolds, herself used to being treated less than an equal due to her racial heritage. Ariana about to continue, Feria holds out a hand to quiet the elf, the priest firmly taking control of the conversation again. The felein are every bit our equals now and have been for some time. Most of the people here in Nace just chose to ignore it, and shame on all of you for that. The question is, what are you going to do about it now? Choose an option. Honor, proclaim the felein as your equals? Reason, isn't justice what's best for all? Tolerance, make peace with the felein? Attempting to play on Lord Mason's reason, you push the idea that racial justice isn't just good for the felein but it's best for everyone. Justice is justice and should apply to all sentient creatures. While your words are powerful, Lord Mason remains unconvinced. He just can't get past his own archaic, self-serving, racist beliefs. Recognizing this, Lord Rustinian joins the conversation, his own plea just as passionate as yours. Why is this so difficult for you humans? Rustinian begins, the felein quite animated as he speaks. We walk and talk just like you. We bleed, and worry, and suffer just like you. We dream, love our children, defend against our enemies, honor our dead, all, just like you. The only difference between us is that we don't look the same, but why does that matter so much? Why does that matter at all? Mason fumbles for words, not really sure what to say. How do you wish to follow up? Choose an option, altruism, swallow your pride and help us? Curiosity, take interest in our plight. Spirit, be bold and help save our future? Put aside your born and bred racism and think about these poor creatures. Redfern states, seeing so much potential for Lord Mason to explore here. Embrace what the felein have become, welcome them with open arms and go down in history as a great unifier. I don't think so, Lord Mason responds, still far from convinced that the felein should be treated as equals. Humans have always controlled the felein, that's just the way it is. Then there is resources, our food, our possessions, our wealth, there is not enough of it to share with all the felein as well. And if we make the felein equals, there will be so much resentment here in Nace that it would lead to anger, fighting and even rebellion. If you're asking me what's best, I have to think about what all of us here in Nace want to. Alas, you haven't been able to convince Lord Mason to do much of anything in terms of felein equality. What more would you like to say? Choose an option, charisma, let's talk more about this. Intelligence, equality offers advantages too, wisdom, best things in life are the hardest. As Mason seems unconvinced by your spirit and passion, you turn to how the humans of Nace would personally benefit, focusing on reason and insight. Alas, at this point, nothing you say or do is going to undo the centuries of racist thinking here. Lord Rustinian stares at Lord Mason for a few moments, then shakes his head in disgust before turning to Feria. I knew these humans would never accept us. It looks like civil war is the only answer. And why would we not put all of you down for poisoning us and taking over our city? Mason complains, his original anger returning. All of this is your fault. Rustinian counters, matching Mason's outrage. We should have put all of you down when we had the chance these past few weeks. Maybe now we will finish the job. As the human and felein lords, along with their associated followers within the church, prepare themselves for combat, you hear a deafening screech from out beyond the building, something that sounds horrific. A moment later, you spot a flash of intense light through the stained glass windows of the temple, followed immediately by a nearby crash, as if something had just fallen from the sky. Janet, let's do an intelligence check on your hero to see if you can discern what has just happened. Needing a 13 or less from Janet, a 2 was rolled. Success, yes, you recognize the monstrous cries, the particular color of the fire and all the rest. Several hellions have just crashed nearby and will certainly attack everyone here in Nace. Everyone races to the windows near the northwestern corner of the church, looking beyond. Perhaps 100 yards away, you can see several buildings now on fire, felein scattering everywhere and the scene devolving into chaos. Then, to everyone's absolute horror, several flaming monsters emerge from the burning buildings, creatures you immediately recognize as hellions. Clearly, these fiends have escaped the evil root forest and have just crashed here, ready to spread their death and destruction. What in the name of Sislan? Lord Mason whispers in fear, never having experienced such monstrosities before. You'll need to attack the hellions as soon as possible to try and save the city. In the few moments you have right now, what do you want to say to Lord Mason? Choose an option. Stand down your guards. We will handle this. We are all in serious trouble, I'm afraid. We will need to work together to survive this. The spirit score for Janet remains the same. Turning to both Mason and Rustinian, you tell both of them that the only way to defeat the hellions and save Nace at this point is for everyone to work together, humans and feline alike. The two lords look at one another, utterly dumbfounded and unable to say anything more. After one last glance through the windows, from which you think you spot 4, 5, perhaps even 6 hellions, your party turns for the church exit, preparing themselves for what will certainly prove to be a tremendous battle. Heading northwest from the Sislan church, you simply follow the fire, smoke, and cries of terror, taking about 10 minutes to arrive and confront the hellions. You find nearly half a dozen buildings already on fire, thick smoke billowing upward. Frantic feline run about everywhere as well, scared out of their minds, and a few wailing over the bodies of their kin who were caught in the blast caused by the arrival of the hellions and either rendered unconscious or killed. The scene is quite chaotic and it takes a few moments to wrap your minds around all the danger and mayhem. As you survey the pending battlefield, you soon count 6 hellions moving about, burning everything in their path. Let's do a reason check on your hero to determine what your first impression may be. Needing a 12 or less from Janet, a 5 was rolled. Success, your heart utterly sinks. There is no way your party can take on 6 of these hellions by yourselves. Somehow, someway, you're going to need some help. Moments later, both Lord Rustinian as well as Lord Mason arrive alongside your party, having come to see the destruction for themselves. Neither have ever witnessed such monstrosities before, and it's all they can do to not turn and flee in terror. What are those things? Mason gasps, horrified beyond belief. And how do we stop them? Rustinian adds, the feline also shaking in his boots. If you're going to try and save the capital city, you better do something soon. How do you respond? Choose an option. It's our bound duty to try and stop them. If we rally together, we can stop them. We must stop them. Nace is depending on us. While a noble and optimistic response, your party looks to you as if you've just lost your mind. There is no way you can do this on your own. What kind of monsters are those? A feline voice asks just behind you. Turning around, standing there is Flavit, his daughter Zissa and perhaps half a dozen of his personal guard, the feline fearful of the hellions beyond but still bravely prepared to do what they must. Surprised and perhaps a bit happy to see some potential warriors, Eswin quickly summarizes the situation. They're hellions, from the realm of nightmares, and they'll burn you horribly if you get too close. We have to defeat them somehow before they destroy the entire city, but we can't do it alone. We should divide and conquer. Flavit proposes, his plan daring but very dangerous. Well, draw a few of them away, so you will have a better chance with the monsters that remain. Eswin considers the plan, then nods affirmatively. The feline guards prepare to follow Flavit into battle, capturing the attention of Lord Mason. You would risk your lives in defense of our city? Mason asks, surprised and humbled. It's our city too. Flavit responds. Someday you will discover that there is no better or fiercer ally than the feline. The feline warriors then heroically charge ahead, despite their inadequate armor and useless weapons against the terrible heat and demonic power of the hellion monsters. It takes several brave attacks, some taunting and even the ultimate sacrifice of several of the feline, but soon 3 of the hellions break away from the other 3 to chase the feline party. They've done it. In turn, you rush the remaining 3 hellions, Eswin and Ariana both belting out their own war cries as you attack the infernals with everything you've got. Janet, I have a scroll of party resist fire we can use. Feria shouts from just behind you. That should prove quite useful against such monsters. Your party is under attack. Coming at all of you are 3 hellions. It's Janet's turn. What do you want her to do? Janet uses a skeletal seat on Hellion number 1, causing the monstrous hero to attack it for 8 points of damage for 10 minutes. It's Kartha's turn. What do you want her to do? Kartha casts Spiritual Hammer on Hellion number 1, bashing it for 6 points of damage for 5 minutes. Hellion number 2 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 19 to hit. Die roll is a 20, which is an automatic hit and does double damage. Hellion number 2 hits Ariana, burning her for 8 points of damage. Fire resistance reduces damage by half and leaving Ariana with 20 hit points. It's Redfern's turn. What do you want him to do? Redfern uses a wand of phantasmal force on Hellion number 1, nearly horrifying it, needing a 14 or greater. Hellion number 1 rolls a 16 and saves for no damage versus spells. It's Nace's turn. What do you want? Nace casts Bless on the entire party, potentially blessing them. Janet is blessed for 5 minutes, Ariana is blessed for 5 minutes, Barthol is blessed for 5 minutes. It's Ariana's turn. What do you want her to do? Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at Hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 19, +5 to hit. Ariana hit. Barthol uses a potion of light healing on Ariana, healing her for 10 hit points. It's Feria's turn. What do you... Feria uses a scroll of party resist fire on the entire adventuring party, protecting them. Janet is protected from fire for 2 hours, Ariana is protected from fire, Ariana is resistant to magical heat, Barthol is protected from fire for... Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at Hellion number 1, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 13, +6 to hit. Eswin hits Hellion number 1, doing 10 points of damage and leaving it with 15 hit points. Hellion number 1 attacks Eswin with its monstrous flames, needing a 19 to hit. Die roll is a 8, +8 to hit. GM note, a new combat round has begun. Initiative is rolled, with higher values acting first, needing a 35 or less on percentile dice, a 51 is rolled. Failure. Barthol tries to blend in. Kartha readies her quarterstaff +1 and swings at Hellion number 1, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 12, Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at Hellion number 1, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 11, +6 to hit. Eswin hits Hellion number 1, doing 8 points of damage and leaving it with 4 hit points. Hellion, it's Janet's turn. What do you want her to do? Janet readies her mace +1 and swings at Hellion number 1, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is... Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at Hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 18, +5 to hit. Ariana hits Hellion number 3. Feria casts Spiritual Hammer on Hellion number 1, bashing it for 1 point of damage for 5 minutes. It's Kartha's Spiritual Hammer's turn. Kartha directs her Spiritual Hammer at Hellion number 1, bashing it for 4 points of damage and defeating it. Redfern uses a wand of phantasmal force on Hellion number 3, horrifying it for 6 points of damage for 5 minutes, needing a 14 or greater. Hellion number 3 rolls a 4 and fails versus spells. Hellion number 2 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 20 to hit. Die roll is a 15, +8 to hit. Hellion number 2 hits Ariana, burning her for 7 points of damage. It's Nace's turn. What do you want him to do? Nace readies his mace +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 19, +4 to hit. Nace hits hellion number 3, doing 3 points of damage and leaving it. Janet directs her summoned undead at hellion number 3, causing the monstrous hero to attack it for 8 points of damage and leaving it with 11 hit points. Hellion number 3 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 20 to hit. GM note: a new combat round has begun. Initiative is rolled, with higher values acting first. It's Janet's turn. What do you want her to do? Janet readies her mace +1 and swings at hellion number 3. Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Feria directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 3, bashing it for 2 points of damage. Redfern directs his phantasmal force at hellion number 3, horrifying it for 3 points of damage and defeating it. Hellion number 2 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 20 to hit. It's Nace's turn. What do you want him to do? Nace readies his mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Janet directs her summoned undead at hellion number 2, causing the monstrous. Cartha directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 2, bashing it for 1 point of damage and leaving it with 42 hit points. Barthol readies his short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Feria casts Cure Light Wounds on Ariana, healing her for 8 hit points. It's Redfern's turn. What do you want him to do? Redfern casts Magic Missile on hellion number 2, striking it with a magic missile for 5 points of damage. GM note: a new combat round has begun. Initiative is rolled, with higher values acting first. Nace readies his mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 12, +4 to hit. Feria directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 2, bashing it for 4 points of damage and leaving it with 20. It's Janet's turn. What do you want her to do? Janet readies her mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 19. Barthol readies his short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 20, which is an automatic hit. Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16. Cartha readies her quarterstaff +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Feria readies her mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2. Cartha directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 2, bashing it for 1 point of damage. Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 2. The party is nearly disintegrated. GM alert: Bless is no longer affecting the party. Janet directs her summoned undead at hellion number 2, causing the monstrous hero to attack it for 7 points of damage and defeating it. Well done. All combatants have been defeated, ending the battle. Each hero receives 354 experience points. Redfern has gained a new energy level and receives 5 new hit points and 1 new spell. Click the spells button to assign the new spell. As the last of the hellions goes down, it actually explodes right in front of you. Caught in the fiery blast, your entire party is nearly wiped out. Worse, the remaining 3 hellions are now heading straight for the party, and given how extremely wounded and exhausted you are now, facing another 3 of the monstrosities seems impossible. Nace and Cartha, let's join hands and attempt the rites of Kasan. Feria suggests, surprising both the clerics. What? Nace demands, utterly confused. Only priests of Sisla can do that. You would invite this mutant to participate? Recognizing the importance of the ceremony, Cartha nods in agreement, taking Feria's hand. Let's do a wisdom check on Nace and see how he responds. Needing a 16 or less from Nace, a 19 was rolled. Failure, Still not willing to take Cartha's hand at first despite the circumstances, Feria's further look of scorn convinces Sislan to do so, the priest still detesting the presence of Cartha alongside him. Now, focus on me, draw strength from your own convictions and believe that we can heal those around us in defense of our great city. Feria commands, her voice calm despite the surrounding chaos. What's going on? Eswin asks, befuddled by the strange behavior of the three clerics. Whatever it is, do it quick. Redfern adds, watching the three hellions approach, the heat from their bodies already causing discomfort. Feria, Sislan and Cartha draw deep into themselves, the two Sislan believers and the Sislan atheist working together to do something you've never seen before. Moments later, a soft white light begins to emanate from the three chanting clerics, quickly bathing the party as well as them in its brilliance. All at once, your wounds close and your fatigue melts away, and as the ceremony concludes, everyone within the party finds themselves suddenly healed, even your spells are restored. Having borne the brunt of the magical ceremony, however, Feria cries out and collapses to one knee, now on the verge of unconsciousness. Supreme One. Sislan cries out, resting her head on his lap. Stay with us. My part in all of this is over, Feria replies, about to pass out. Now, go save us all. Go, I will watch over her. Lord Mason instructs, kneeling down alongside Feria. I don't understand, Eswin wonders aloud, healed by the surprising ceremony. What did you just do? The rites of Kasan, Sislan replies, bewildered himself. An old Sislan ritual meant only for desperate situations. It permanently took some of her own health, but between the three of us we were able to heal and restore the entire party. She will recover. Here they come. Ariana cries, alerting the party to the attack of the remaining three hellions. Your party is under attack. Eyeing the entire party are three hellions. It's Ariana's turn. What do you want her to do? Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 1, needing a 17 to hit. Die roll is a 5, +5 to hit, Ariana misses hellion number 1. It's Barthol's turn. Needing a 35 or less on percentile dice, a 8 is rolled. Success. Barthol blends into the shadows, hiding from all combatants and receiving a +4 to. Cartha casts Spiritual Hammer on hellion number 1, bashing it for 6 points of damage for 5 minutes. It's Janet's turn. Janet uses a skeletal seed on hellion number 1, causing the monstrous hero to attack it for 1 point of damage for 10 minutes. It's Redfern's turn. What do you want him to do? Redfern casts Phantasmal Force on hellion number 1, horrifying it for 6 points of damage for 5 minutes, needing a 14 or greater. Hellion number 1 rolls a 10 and fails versus spells. It's Eswin's turn. Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at hellion number 1, needing a 17 to hit. Die roll is a 20, which is an automatic hit and does double damage. Eswin hits hellion number 1, doing 14 points of damage and leaving it with 1 hit point. Hellion number 2 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 19 to hit. Die roll is a 5, plus. Hellion number 3 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames, needing a 19 to hit. It's Sislan's turn. What do you want him to do? Sislan casts Bless on the entire party, potentially blessing them. Janet is blessed for 5 minutes, Ariana is blessed for 5 minutes, Barthol is blessed for 5 minutes, Eswin is blessed for 5 minutes. GM note, a new combat round has begun. Initiative is rolled, with higher values acting first. It's Janet's turn. What do you want her to do? Janet readies her mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Kartha directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 1, bashing it for 4 points of damage and defeating it. It's Redfern directs his phantasmal force at hellion number 2, horrifying it for 6 points of damage and leaving it with 16 hit points. Hellion number 2, it's Barthal's turn. What do you want him to do? Barthal readies his short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 12 to hit, +4 due to hiding in shadows. Die roll is a 14, +4 to hit and does triple damage. Barthal hits hellion number 2, doing 12 points of damage and leaving it with 4 hit points. It's Nace's turn. What? Nace readies his mace +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 9. It's Janet's summoned undead's turn. What do you want it to do? Janet directs her summoned undead at hellion number 2, causing the monstrous hero to attack. Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at hellion number 2, needing a 16 to hit. Kartha readies her quarterstaff +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 12. GM note, a new combat round has begun. Initiative is rolled, with higher values acting first. Redfern readies his golden quarterstaff +1 and swings at hellion number 3. Barthal readies his short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 17, +4 to hit. Barthal hits hellion number 3, doing 8 points of damage and leaving it with 36 hit points. It's Ariana's turn. What do you want her to do? Ariana readies her short sword +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 17, +5 to hit. Ariana hits hellion number 3, doing 3 points of damage and leaving it with 30. Redfern directs his phantasmal force at hellion number 3, horrifying it for 4 points of damage and leaving it with 29 hit points. Hellion number 3 attacks Ariana with its monstrous flames. It's Nace's turn. What do you want him to do? Nace readies his mace +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16. Kartha directs her spiritual hammer at hellion number 3, bashing it for 2 points of damage. Eswin readies his longsword +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Janet directs her summoned undead at hellion number 3, causing the monstrous hero to attack it for 5 points of damage and leaving it with 11. Redfern readies his golden quarterstaff +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Janet readies her mace +1 and swings at hellion number 3, needing a 16 to hit. Die roll is a 20, which is an automatic hit and does double damage. Janet hits hellion number 3, doing 14 points of damage and defeating it. Well done. All combatants have been defeated, ending the battle. Each hero receives 405 experience points. Janet has regained a lost energy level, is no longer level drained and has all lost hit points restored and 1 new spell. Click the spells button to assign a new spell. The last of the hellions are destroyed, and the party nearly collapses in relief. Despite the overwhelming odds, you've done it. Nace has been saved. As the party begins to lick its wounds, you notice Lord Mason and Lord Rustinian approach, the two shouldering the Supreme Healerpriest Feria between themselves, the utterly exhausted cleric conscious again but unable to walk yet on her own. Upon their arrival, Feria works up a gentle smile, so proud of you and the performance of your adventuring party. Well done, Janet, the cleric begins, her voice soft and scratchy. All of you. This city owes you its very life. Are they dead? Mason asks of the hellions, kicking the burning dust of the closest monster. Father. Zissa suddenly shouts, rushing to embrace Flavit as he returns to the party, quite wounded and even burned by his brave but harrowing encounter with the hellions. The two embrace for several long moments as the survivors of Flavit's guard arrive as well, congregating around your adventuring party. That was extraordinary. Eswin begins, complimenting Flavit and his felein for their actions. We never could have defeated all those hellions together. Thank you for creating that diversion. You see, Father. Feria continues, nodding in the direction of Flavit. We really can all work together, you just have to give the felein a chance. Recognizing an opportunity here, what more would you like to say to Lord Mason? Choose an option. Surely you can see the benefits of equality. The felein help save us, make them equals, the felein make better allies than enemies. Seizing the moment, You opt for reason and sanity, making yet another strong case for the felein in light of what they have just done to help save the city and people of Nace. This time Lord Mason considers your words seriously, quite aware that without the felein, the entire capital of Nace would now be in flames. The older human looks everyone over, then turns back to Flavit. So what do I do with you? Mason asks, truly perplexed. You're the reason why the good people of Nace aren't here now to defend the city. But, I recognize, perhaps, that we humans didn't exactly treat all of you well in the first place. Maybe, perhaps, we need to forgive one another and move on? All eyes turn to Flavit, the feline leader still just as angry as he is wounded right now. What words of advice would you like to offer him? Choose an option. Everyone has suffered, time for redemption, forgive the humans and let's move on, accept that mistakes were made on both sides. Nodding in approval with Lord Mason, you push for empathy, to open one's heart to feel the pain of others so that a reasonable, appropriate, and heartfelt response can be given. Flavit considers your words, swallows his pride somewhat, then turns back to Lord Mason, gently nodding with approval. In return, Mason smiles and takes a step toward the feline. Then I proclaim you, and all the feline here within Nace, absolved of all past deeds. I will not hold you accountable for the poisoning of our people as long as you behave yourselves from now on. Agreed. Almost embarrassed, Flavit again nods, then smiles as his daughter hugs him tightly, Ziza so proud of her father. As dozens of additional feline begin to flood the area to aid in the cleanup and recovery effort, Flavit marches himself, Zizas and his honor guard away in order to assist as best they can. Janet, congratulations on not just rescuing Feria but rescuing Flavit from himself and leading to this far better ending. Let's reward your patience, wisdom, and sacrifice with some additional experience points. Each hero earns 714 experience points. Janet has gained a new energy level and receives 5 new hit points and 1 new spell. Click the spells button to assign the new spell. Sainadius has gained a new energy level and receives 7 new hit points and 1 new spell. Click the spells button to assign the new spell. Let's go even beyond forgiveness. Feria demands, taking both Lord Mason and Lord Rustinian by the hand. Let's go to equality, where humans and feline share everything together, where each is dependent on the other, protective of one another, even fiercely loyal to the other. Let's go to where humans and feline no longer see their differences but only their similarities, can genuinely feel for what the other needs and would do anything to make the other safe and happy. Let the events of the recent past not degrade our bonds together but strengthen them and help all of us learn how to respect, cherish and, one day, love one another. Wow, you weren't expecting that. Let's do an altruism check on your hero to see if you can tell how the two lords will respond to the passionate plea. Needing a 13 or less from Janet, a 12 was rolled. Success, yes, it appears that Feria has done the impossible. Lord Mason appears willing to accept the feline as equals within Hope Air. Somehow, someway, history here in Nace is about to be made. Yes, I suppose you're right, Supreme One, Lord Mason concedes. It will be far from easy, and it may take years, lifetimes, even, to get to where you suggest. But it is time to move forward, do the right thing and embrace these noble creatures as the equals they genuinely are. Yes, I agree, let's do this. Without another word, Feria closes her eyes and initiates some sort of ritual, again something you've never seen before. Soon thereafter, both Mason and Rustinian reach for their chests, the pair in some sort of physical pain. Herself exhausted, Feria drops both arms of the two lords and staggers a bit, Nace reaching out to hold her upright. There, the deed is done. What is it you've done? Kartha asks, unaware of the magic just used by Feria. The ritual of binding. Nace responds, recognizing the Sislan ritual normally used for wedding ceremonies. Their hearts now beat as one, and if they break the other's heart, it would be fatal to the transgressor. Feria finishes, a soft smile on her face. Both of your futures are now tied together, come what may. Deviate from your promises at your own peril. The two older lords look to one another in complete surprise, then accept their fate with dignity, about to depart. Then that's that, I suppose. Lord Mason says to Lord Rustinian. Let's go build us a new future together. Rustinian agrees, thanks you and the party again for all its help, then escorts Mason back toward the power tower. All is well, Feria whispers, her work here complete too. I guess I will be on my way as well. Stop by the church if you need any further healing or restoration services, we'd be happy to help. The cleric gives all of you the sign of Sisla, then turns and departs, leaving you alone as dozens of frantic felein all around you extinguish the fires left by the hellions and begin the process of cleaning up the damage. And that about wraps up this adventure. Feel free to visit any of the city shops and such as you wish, then depart the city through its main gate to the east when you're ready to leave. GM note, your quest log has been updated. Click the quests button for all the details. Naturally, the entire party earns a large experience bonus for successfully completing the Help Feria Help Save the Day quest. Each hero earns 714 experience points. Barthol has gained a new energy level and receives 3 new hit points. Located in the far northwestern corner of the city, several buildings here still smolder from the recent attacks with the hellions. From this point, you will want to head north, east or south back into the city proper. GM alert, Bless is no longer affecting the party. Travel alert, returning to the power tower, you take 20 minutes to arrive. Returning to the power tower, the main palace room here looks just the way you left it, except that the gaudy throne has since been removed. As you enter, you find both Lord Mason and Lord Rustinian sitting at the sturdy oaken table, the two locked deeply in conversation. No, the council must stay, Rustinian. Lord Mason demands, his mind completely made up. That council was what poisoned us for decades and locked us away in exile. The feline lord responds, quite upset. They must be abolished, or even imprisoned for their actions. You've interrupted a heated debate between the two heart-joined lords. Let's do a party intelligence check to see if you can discern what they're arguing about. Needing a 13 or less from your heroes, a 7 was rolled. Success, they're talking about the 12 humans who have traditionally governed Hope Air, Nace whispers into your ear, clarifying the situation. I am sure they had a lot to do with how poorly the feline were treated these past several decades. You're trying to change things too quickly again. Mason shouts, clearly upset. The good people of Nace will never go for abandoning the council. No, it must remain. Why let the evils of the past taint our future? Rustinian returns, his position clear. We have an opportunity to start over and do things in a better way, we must do it. Unfortunately, it does not look like the two lords will settle on a political solution anytime soon. Perhaps they could use some advice, choose an option, conservative, keep the council of 12 humans, liberal, rebuild the council with 12 feline, neutral, sit 6 humans and 6 feline? Perhaps you should replace half of the humans with feline and keep the council intact, Redfern suggests, taking a neutral approach. The council tradition continues, but its focus would be very different. The two lords look to one another for a moment, unsure of the suggestion. Yes, Perhaps, that would work, Lord Mason responds. Yes, that would work well. Once again, you've helped us here in Nace move in the right direction, Lord Rustinian says directly to you, appreciative of the suggestion. I can accept keeping the council so long as half of its members are felein. You look at the large wooden table, still filled with all manner of foodstuffs, trinkets, and other items. But soon it will welcome 6 human and 6 felein representatives, who, together, will help take the country of Hope Air into a whole new era of enlightenment. Yes, it looks like this peace truly has a chance here in Nace. Then let's make haste and see to this new council, Rustinian instructs, turning to leave. There is no time like the present. Lord Mason nods, but turns to you first as Rustinian steps toward one of the stairways leading away. It's a long road ahead, for the people here in Nace as well as the felein, Mason begins with a sigh. But at least we can make progress now, thanks to everything you've done here. Come back someday, you will always be welcome. The older lord bows before you, then turns and departs for the same stairway just used by Lord Rustinian. The human and felein lords now gone, your business here, as well as the overall adventure is complete, it's time to leave. Travel alert, using the path, you travel southeast, taking 10 minutes to arrive, returning to the Sislan church, you find that the temple appears to be operating close to normal again, a few lower level clerics going about their duties now that they're no longer drugged. Moments later, Feria greets you again, having cleaned herself up from your recent adventures and the battle with the hellions, she appears rather splendid, an enchanting priestess within an enchanting place. The cleric approaches you, something on her mind. There you are, Feria begins, a warm and gracious smile on her face. I was hoping you'd stop by before leaving us. I just wanted to thank you again for everything you've done here, not just for the Nacians but the felein as well. I am sure it's going to take time, but I know that our city will be better off now that the felein have been accepted as equals. Well, try to stop by again someday to see how that's all progressing, Nace responds with a nod. Just be wary of the hellions and the coming infernals, too, a second age of damnation may be upon us. Feria nods, does the sign of Sisla to Nace and then turns to depart, quickly stepping away. Although Feria is no longer here, several clerics and acolytes await further requests for their healing and restorative services. In fact, if anyone in the party lost levels recently, you can receive magical restoration here. Travel alert, returning to the merchant, you take 15 minutes to arrive, the merchant awaits for you to buy and sell any mundane item. Janet lost 3 platinum pieces, change made is 3 gold pieces. In return, she receives 12 rations. Janet lost 12 gold pieces. In return, she receives 12 water skins. Janet sells 43 quartz and receives the equivalent of 344 gold pieces. Ariana lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, she receives 50. Ariana lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, she receives 50. Barthol lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Barthol lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, he receives 15. Eswin lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Eswin lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Kartha lost 3 platinum pieces. Kartha lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Redfern lost 3 platinum pieces. Redfern lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Sainadius lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Sainadius lost 3 platinum pieces. In return, Travel alert, returning to the hostel, you take 15 minutes to arrive. Now, about your rooms. I charge just 1 silver piece for the lot of you, the hostel owner offers, the price more than reasonable. GM note, Janet lost 10 copper pieces, you can sleep here as long as you wish and other. Janet casts Cure Light Wounds on Ariana, healing her for 7 hit points. Kartha casts Cure Light Wounds on Ariana, healing her for 9 hit points. Sainadius casts Cure Light Wounds on Eswin, healing him for 6 hit points. Your party rests and recovers for 8 hours. Wounds are tended, spells are memorized and your heroes are refreshed and re-energized. Your party rests and recovers for 8 hours. Wounds are tended, spells are memorized and your heroes are refreshed and re-energized. Travel alert, using the road, you travel northeast, taking 15 minutes to arrive, still standing just outside the Nacian main gate, you can go west into the heart of the city or return east back through the gate and out of Nace. Travel alert, using the road, you travel east, taking 20 minutes to arrive, and that's a wrap for module number 4, Dark Injustice. We hope you've enjoyed playing the game so far. Before you begin the next module, please consider making a small donation to the developers of BrowserQuests, the Huelsman Way LLC. Each module takes us months to develop, all the while needing to host, moderate and improve the game. Just $1 per module would be fantastic, and very much appreciated. Thank you.